Have you ever played a game where you were completely losing, but your opponent resigned when it was their turn and they had plenty of time on the clock? That just happened to me. It was pretty weird, but I think I know what happened. I'm going to show you the game. We're going to talk about how we ended up in that position and then try to decipher why they resigned. All right, so real quickly, let's go through the game. We had this Vienna game, which kind of turned into this pretty boring opening. My opponent went for knight to a5, going after the bishop. I decided to not worry about it and just leave it there. And if they take me, I'm just going to take back. And of course, opens up the queen. And then I do have a nice clamp on d5. So even though I get the doubled pawns, there's a bit of a trade-off. So I simply developed and attacked this pawn on e5. My opponent defended it. I castled. They played c6, which is a pretty useful move in these types of positions. Sometimes black will expand on the queen side, and that can help. Sometimes they play d5 if they are able to. Now, if this happens, they're probably not going to be able to play d5, but still, like I said, b5 is a pretty useful idea. So I played h3. I was trying to stop this bishop from having a good place to go to. And then I played bishop g5, completing my development. All right, back to h4, and then a6. I played a3, trying to create a square for my bishop to retreat to get away from this knight. But now my opponent wisely captures it, and they kind of made me waste this move by delaying taking it right away. So that was a good idea there by black. They castled, and I said, well, let me go ahead and use that to expand on the queen side. And then I put my queen on d3, defending this pawn here that black had attacked. All right, let's keep going. So b5, and the threat is simply to take here with the bishop and win my rook. So I decided to trade that. It was one of my doubled pawns anyway, and so I'm pretty happy to trade that. The drawback is that after a takes b5, black still has the threat to go there, and they've unleashed their rook, and now I have a backward a pawn, which is actually a huge weakness for me. This is a very easy target for black to pile up on. So I'm not really feeling good about my position already. It kind of have been getting outplayed up to this point. Okay, so let's keep going. My keyboard just died, so that's interesting. Let's see. See if it's going to turn back on. The disadvantages of a cordless keyboard is that sometimes it just, yeah, literally is dead. All right. All right, so I brought the rook over, taking advantage of the half-open d-file, trying to put some pressure here. I probably, in hindsight, should have traded off this first, because then I can pile up on the pawn if black would have moved the bishop. But by going here first, I give black the option to play g5, and I'm never, going to have the option to trade that again. So probably misplayed that. Have to go back. And my bishop is pretty terrible now. It's not doing anything at all. Even my knight is pretty limited. And you can see Stockfish is really liking black's position here. All right. So queen to e3. I'm setting up to maybe one day think about sacrificing over here to get to black's king. But black plays knight to h5 and shuts down that idea right away, also attacking my bishop. So I retreated the bishop and then knight back to g7. Now it looks like black wants to play f5. And I think if that happens, I'm in pretty big trouble. This looks like it's going to open up the rook, and bishops are more powerful in the open game. And so I said, let's play g4. Let's try to keep things closed off, and maybe my knights will be more effective that way. So rook to a7, black's plan is to come over here and line up on that backward a pawn that we talked about earlier. Now, I did notice that my queen was attacking the rook, although it was defended by the queen. But I said, you know what, let me go ahead and go for this tactic, which Stockfish thinks is a terrible idea, and I'll show you why. My plan was that after I take here, if black would have captured me, I was going to take the rook, and even though I'm losing the knight, I thought I'm going to get the bishop, and I thought, okay, 2 pawns and a rook, normally it's not good enough, but maybe it would kind of free up my position. What I failed to realize is that at the end of that, the queen's coming over to h3, now this guy's falling next, and my king is actually in big trouble. So it was a terrible decision by me. But my opponent decided to play queen b7, because if you don't have queen takes h3 at the end of the line, maybe it's actually okay for me. Anyway, we get this position. I traded that off and played e5. Now, e5 is setting up for me to play knight to e4, so it's clearing the way for the knight. And then we have some nice ideas of hopping into some of these squares with my knight, or maybe even c5. And so that's the idea there. Rook comes over. Black's attacking the backward pawn, and I did follow it up with knight to e4, which also defends my pawn on a3. Okay, so the queen comes over. Black's attacking here. And I said, well, let me defend that, and at the same time, try to attack Black's king. All right. So he trades, and now I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a little bit of an attack on the king. Now, we can see from the eval bar here, I have absolutely nothing. These bishops are doing a great job defending everything. But during the game, obviously, we can't see the eval bar, and I felt like I was getting a little bit of an attack. Black brings the rook in, and I traded. I didn't want to have the liability of these rooks lined up here. And here's where it starts to get pretty interesting. So I play g5. I'm trying to get at the king. And Black plays a really nice move. Queen to a7 check. And the queen is coming into the action. And I don't really have a lot of good options here. I played king to h2 trying to defend my pawn. But really, Black could have just taken this because the bishop is there. So I'm not actually defending it. And I'm close. I'm losing. They're not close. I'm losing. Anyway, opponent captured here. I took it, trying to bring my knight in. They brought the queen in. This is really good for Black because if I just trade, let's say, I'm going to lose this endgame. There's no chance for me in an endgame like this. The two bishops are extremely strong, and even if I get one of them, Black has an extra piece. This is a pretty easy win for Black at this level, all right? So I definitely don't want to trade queens. Also, Black has threats over here now that the queen is in. It's not looking good. So I said, okay, let me at least trade this off. And then I noticed something. And this is fascinating. So I played rook to g1 check. And for a moment, I actually thought I was going to win. Because if you look at this carefully, this and this kind of resembles a ladder checkmate. And I was thinking to myself, king's going to move over. I can go to h4, and that's checkmate because I have everything covered. And then I realized this guy right here. And yeah, I have nothing. I can't go there. I can't go here. Even if they went to h8, I can't go there because of the queen. I have nothing. Here is the only chance that I had where I could bring the queen down to f7. So for example, like this, I could go here. Now I'm actually getting checkmate depending on where the king goes. Okay, so that's one thing. But other than that, if the king moves to h8, let's say, I have nothing because I can't go here. I can't go here. I can't go here. I can't go here. All of the checks are controlled by this piece and this piece. I'm dead lost. It's over. And while I was having this thought to myself, my opponent resigned. They just resigned the game, and I won. And I kind of get it. Because I had that moment of like, oh, I'm going to win. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Only after, I thought about it a little more. And so if my opponent maybe had the same, I don't know, brain fog of not realizing that I couldn't go there, or thinking that I had a move down here and they forgot that they could just go to the corner. I don't know, but they resigned and I won the game. So I don't know that that's ever happened to me before where I've been in such a losing position. You can see it minus 4.8, minus 4. It's it. That's over. Yeah. Anyway, that was interesting. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And if you have any stories similar, let me know. All right. As always, stay sharp, play smart, and take care.